Hello, social blueprinters. Welcome to today's episode. We are interviewing Alla Kuzmis from Melbourne Psychic Medium. But before we delve into this interview, please remember to go to thesocialblueprint.org.au to see all the upcoming events in our community and check out all the resources our community has to offer. So welcome, Alla.
Hi.
So nice to have you here today, and I
Thank
know it's going to
you.
be a very interesting
Yes.
session today.
Thank you.
So where did you go to school? Let's start there.
Wow. Which one? Where do I start? Primary school? Let's
All
start.
the way.
All right. Let's start primary school. So I'm an immigrant from the former USSR. So I'm a Soviet because we don't exist anymore. And I started off 1 year at Elwood Primary, and then I moved to Sholem Aleichem. I did 4 years there.
Yes.
Then I went to Caulfield North Primary School, and then I went to McKinnon, and I finished at McKinnon.
I went to McKinnon.
Get out.
Yeah, but I might be a touch older than you.
No, not at all. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah.
And you finished there.
And I finished there. That was it. And then I went to uni after that.
And what did you study?
I studied nutrition.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that, and I worked in the area.
Yes.
So I worked for government, I worked for hospital, I worked privately, and I finished off working privately. But my gift overwhelmed me so much that I was like, I can't. I've got to move more into exploring it more and doing what I need to do with it.
So when did you first recognize or think, oh, that's not normal? Other people haven't seen that, what I've seen, or thought that, what I thought. When did you first?
So when I had the gift, when it started, was like always. But the question is, when I thought I was not normal.
Yes.
Was much later in life.
Good question.
The gift I've always had. But when you, I always give this example. When you look outside a window and then you look at someone, you can kind of see like a double shadow. I would see this all the time. I wouldn't need to look outside a window. I would always see shadows behind people. And with time, I realized that was spirit coming through.
Is that like an aura?
No.
Is that like I'm seeing?
No, literally like a human shape behind you. So it was like you'd see double vision, triple vision, quadruple vision, because you could see lots of them.
Right.
But when you're always seeing that, to you, that's normal. So you never think there's anything abnormal about it.
Yes.
Until I mentioned it to my girlfriend. I go, sometimes I do find it quite annoying that I constantly see, so many shadows behind people. And she's like, that's not normal. And I'm like, oh, really? That's not normal? What do you mean? You don't see? And then I started telling her, she's like, you need help. So I was like, okay. So I started Googling and researching, and it all kind of was pointing into spirituality and mediumship and psychic. And I was like, okay, I need to delve more into this. I need to find out what's going on.
Yes.
And there's a shop called Key Crystal on Glen Huntly Road.
Yes.
And that was the first shop that came up as spiritual that I could remember, because all my girlfriends used to go there except me. I never stepped foot in there. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to step foot in there, and I'll just see whether I resonate and whether I can speak to somebody who can help me. Literally, I thought I'd walk in and someone's going to help me. It didn't work like that. But they had psychic development courses. And I thought, oh, maybe I need to go there and see what this is that I have.
Yes.
Because I would have premonitions, my dreams. If I ever had a dream and I could remember it, it would come true. So be afraid when I have a dream. That's what I tell everybody. Be really afraid, because if I don't remember it, that's good. If I remember it, it's coming true. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but it just means it's coming true.
Yes.
I would know things that I couldn't possibly know. Like all my cousins growing up were like, how do you know that? You're like a little old grandmother who knows everything and shouldn't know at your age. There was just things constantly that were happening to me. I could see spirit turning up in my room. I can give you 1,000 stories. Yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting upbringing.
Were you scared growing up when you were young? Did it scare you?
Everything but the spirits scared me. But when I was seeing spirits, I was afraid, because I could not understand what was going on. I had so many scenarios. It was very scary. I would have little girls turning up in my bedroom next to me, and I would open my eyes and I'd be seeing a little girl in a white dress, and I'd be just frozen lying in bed. Even people who can see spirit get scared, because when they pop up randomly like that and they really show themselves clearly, it can be quite scary, let's put it that way. So then I went and started doing this psychic development course, and I ended up connecting with my mentor there, and she really opened me up to this world of understanding everything. That it just became so clear, because I started understanding everything that was happening to me, and would go slowly through all the processes, and different exercises. Like she'd give me an object and she'd put it in my hand and I'd close my eyes and I could just get all these messages and I could tell you all about the person from that object and anything that they're going through, because that object was owned by that person. We'd have like a lot of exercises we'd do, and she started opening me up to this. So the more I opened up, the more obviously I became, the more I understood what I had, and I could utilize my gift. I understood I could help people. And that's what I started doing very quietly and very slowly. It was very much in the DL because, you know, not everyone understands and is open to this world. So, yeah. And it was overwhelming back then, especially in 2012. It really hit me hard, my gift at that moment. And I don't know what it was at that time that happened, but I just went through massive changes. And whether it was me constantly just not understanding, pushing it away, trying not to focus on it, that my gift came through and just overwhelmed me and said, well, now this is your time. You're going to have to deal with everything that's happening to you. You're here for a reason. You're here to help others, or whatever the purpose was at the time. It really hit me hard, and a lot of things started happening. I remember I was journaling everything that was happening to me. I think I went through 3 journals of writing things down of everything happening to me. And, you know, reading back, you're like, whoa, that's scary, the things that were happening. But today, it's like, well, this is me.
Have you discovered that anyone in your past, like grandmother, was able to do this?
So my mum's grandmother had this gift. Don't know to what extent, because obviously I wasn't around and mum was very little when she passed away. But she does remember people coming to her either for ailments or to get healed or to find out things, and she would tell them what was going to happen. And it was all very hush-hush because, you know, they lived in a little village in the former USSR, so it was very, you know, you'd come in, it was all curtains closed. So mum, being little, running around, she picked up on little things of, you know, what was going on, but she knew she had the gift because people were coming from everywhere to get her help, which was very interesting. But no one that I know, well, my grandmother had it, but she was scared. That was her daughter. But she wouldn't do anything with it, and she passed away last year, so...
So she didn't want to pursue it.
No, she was scared of it.
How do people find you?
Now I'm on Instagram, but previous to that, it was all word of mouth when I was just coming out. So because I was, so it started kind of like I was a nutritionist working from home privately, and my clients, I would get random messages while I'm having a consultation with them, and then they would then come and see me for readings and get that kind of insight from me. And then slowly the word would spread, and, you know, they would come to me. It was very quiet. I would do it from Key Crystal as well. I would work from there. And then my girlfriend, Anna, who you met, said, enough. It's time to come out. I'm like, no. I'm not gonna embarrass myself. I don't need people calling me crazy. I'm doing this. And she's like, no. It's time. You've got to come out. Everybody needs a bit of Alla. You do wonderful things. You have this beautiful gift. You've got to help people. You've got to get out there. And I remember she forced me to open up a page on Instagram. We did it right then and there. And I'm like, great, 1 follower. Awesome. That's really cool. Amazing. But no, I just it just grew from there. It was mainly word of mouth initially, and then just put myself out there. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take that leap of faith and see where it takes me and see who I can help. And, you know, when people resonate with you, they'll be drawn to you. And I would never, ever convince anyone to believe me, because that's not my thing. If you're not a believer, then you're not a believer. Your time will come, or maybe it never will, and that's okay. But you don't have to, you know, it's not like we can't be friends because you don't believe. It's very much about, if you're open to it, great. If you're not, that's also great. It's fine.
And what are some of the stories that you are very proud of, that you've made a difference in people's lives?
Oh gosh, I've turned so many people's lives around. I've had, without obviously mentioning names, I mean, there have been people who've come who are not in a good place. And when I'm saying not in a good place, I'm talking about on the verge of leaving this world. And would come for a reading. And I remember one in particular came to me, and at the end of it, she was like, oh my God, what you did for me in 1 session, I couldn't get out of 5 years from therapy. And I've been going to see a psychiatrist for 5 years and they couldn't help me. And just walking out with a smile on their face, because there's just also so much healing I do in my readings as well. So just giving people that light, that shining light, and just knowing that you can make that difference, and also helping them connect with loved ones, and you know, knowing that there's just a veil between us and the other world, and that no one's completely gone. We can still connect. scary.
Wow. Wow. So do you generally find that people come to you when they're at a crossroads in life?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually when they need guidance or they need just more clarity about a situation, definitely. I mean, I don't get people just come, oh, everything's fantastic in my life, let's do a reading.
Yes.
It's more so there is something that they need guidance on or direction. And I always tell people, take it all with a grain of salt. Definitely when you have a reading, you still need to live your life. You still need to go through that journey. You still need to learn those lessons. It's really important. It's not meant to dictate your life. It's meant to just give you the guidance and just to give you that clarity. But it's not meant to dictate your life. You're still meant to live your life.
Do you feel an immense sense of responsibility with the gift you've been given?
Absolutely.
So how does that manifest for you? Do you get anxiety about that?
I used to in the beginning. I used to get such anxiety. I was like, oh my God, this person's coming to me for a reading. And I used to get really anxious about it. But then I was like, hold on, I've just got to trust the process. If the message is coming to me, I'm not making them up. They're coming to me. And obviously, we're doing so many thousands of readings already. That it's a message that's coming to those people. So I don't need to prepare. I don't need to overthink it. I just need to trust the process and give the message. They've come to me for a reason.
Yes.
And I've got the message to give to them. And I have to just trust the process. So me being anxious means I feel that I'm the one coming up with the guidance, but I'm not. So that's what's really important to understand.
It's respecting the process, as you said.
100%.
How do you go when you walk in somewhere and you can see a strong message for a particular person? Do you kind of go, shall I, shan't I, shall I, shan't I? Because I know I do that. I don't have a gift, but if I say, if there's something and I'm like, will I, won't I, will I, won't I? How do you manage that?
So when I started coming out, let's put it that way, I was so excited about sharing my gift with people because I started understanding what it was I was having. I was understanding the messages that were coming to me. I was so excited to share it with people. And I remember I was sitting in a cafe with my sister and we're sitting having coffee and I go, I can see this woman's father sitting with her. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I've got to tell her because her father wants me to tell her. So I turned around to the woman. She was literally like this far away. You know those cafes where literally the tables are right here. I'm like, excuse me, I just want to let you know that your father's still sitting with you having coffee and he hasn't left you. He's still doing his weekly coffees with you. And she literally choked on her coffee. She got, just started bawling her eyes out. And yes, after she calmed down, she did say that she was having weekly coffees with her dad and she missed it so much and he had passed away like 6 weeks beforehand. But she was not ready for that message because her reaction was not good. And that's where I needed to learn to pull back. And it happened to me a few times. It wasn't just once. I didn't learn after once. I had to do it a few times.
Fair enough.
We don't learn, do we?
Well, especially if you feel that the father was saying, tell her.
So imagine this, someone's doing this to you constantly, like,
oh,
and you're sitting there and you're getting this nudging message, like, okay, I've got to tell her. And it's really, like, it bothers me. So I feel like I have to because I'm being nudged to say it. And if I don't say it, then I'm the one just getting this the whole time.
Yes.
It's not my message to hold back on.
Yes.
But what I've learned over time is that I need to gauge on whether they're open to that and I need to connect to their energy to understand whether they're ready for it or whether their walls are up.
Yes.
And then I need to ask spirit to leave. They're not ready for it. They'll have to come back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does the spirit listen to that?
Yeah.
Wow.
If I asked you to leave, would you leave?
No, I'd say why?
No, but like if you came up to me, do you know what I mean? Same like a human. Like if someone comes up to you and says, I want to talk to you.
Yes.
And you say, look, can you please leave? I'm not ready to talk to you now. You're not going to stand there and keep. So spirit respects.
Yes.
Spirit is very respectful.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when doors are shut, they're shut. When doors are open, they're open. So.
Wow.
But yeah, I had to learn a few times. That wasn't very pleasant. I've had people choke on their food, not literally like choke, but like, I would say something because I would see somebody's, parents standing there or sibling and it was like they were not ready. So that took me a while to gauge that because I was so overexcited about being able to give the message that I wasn't connecting whether those people were ready for the message. So
that is so interesting.
Yeah. That's how I was. This is so interesting. I need to share this, right?
Yes.
But not everyone's the same, unfortunately. Not everybody's ready for it.
Okay. I guess, it depends on how raw it still is.
Raw and not everyone's open to that world. And that took me a while to realize as well.
Yes.
Just because I was ready, just because people around me that I knew were ready, and people who used to come to me for readings already, it doesn't mean everybody is. And that's where I needed to really, really understand that I had to gauge people more.
Yes. Now, my understanding, I'm no expert.
You do pretty good.
Okay. Is that Judaism
Yep.
doesn't want us to look into this realm.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, well, that's what I was told.
Okay.
I'm not
So
super
how do
religious,
you?
so
Okay.
but yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
And what responses have you had? Do you have many Jewish clients?
I do.
Good.
And
Okay.
So a lot.
Yes.
And very open.
Yes.
My response is, this is my gift. And I mean, me saying no to my gift, I feel like I'm not being authentic to myself.
Yes.
And I'm all about being authentic. So I maybe that's wrong for some people, but to me, I feel like I have to be open, and I feel so much better for what I do and the help that I provide and the guidance I can give. And I know that I have a purpose, and this was the reason, and who I can help. And when you can see how many people you can help, it makes such a difference to you that it'd be selfish if I held back. That's how I feel. So
yes.
I know I always say religion and spirituality are two different things. So no.
No, I don't think they are, but that's me.
No, in belief-wise. As in, sorry, I try to keep them separate.
Yes.
As in, I can't allow my religion to dictate my spirituality.
Okay, yes.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
So, like I get Judaism says you can't look into the future.
Yes.
But my gift says otherwise. So what do I do? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, you're listening. You've got a God-given talent.
I have to act on my gift.
I
feel like that's why I keep them side by side.
Yes.
Yes, I was born Jewish. Yes, that's my religion. I was never religious.
Yes.
And I don't even want to delve into this, but coming from the Soviet Union, it was very different there. It was not accepted.
Yes.
So my parents weren't the way that they were a product of their upbringing, also very afraid of being Jewish. So I wasn't very either.
Yes.
So, but of course I had a lot of friends and I was open to all of that. But yeah, that's why I kept I think that's why they're two separate things for me.
Yes,
Because,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you meet your husband psychically?
No. but, do you want to hear what I said to him when I met him?
Please.
So we met at a birthday party.
Yeah.
Just a little information for everybody. We met at a birthday party and we sat next to each other. I think everyone had a little bit to drink already. We're in a restaurant, music's playing. And we sat down next to each other and I turned around to him. Mind you, we hadn't even shared a word yet. I turned around to him and I said, you and I, we're going to be very close one day. That's what I said to him. Yep.
You just knew.
I just knew we were going to be together. Never spoke a word to him. Never even knew who he was. There was just a pull to him.
Yes.
And I don't even know why I blurted that out. Literally hadn't even shared a word with him. And I said, you and I, we're going to be very close one day. And he goes, oh, okay. All right, interesting. And I go, yeah, very close. You'll see. And then we started dating after that night, and we got married. That was it. It was my last.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I relate to that. I met my husband for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And I came home and I said, this is the man I'm going to marry.
When you know, you know. See, that's intuition. That's your psychic ability.
Yeah, it was amazing.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so fascinating. Okay, so what are your goals from here going forward?
I just want to help people. I really do. For me, it's all about you. When you see the difference and the change you make in people and the healing you can do, and when you have someone walk into a reading looking so down, so upset, like their world is just caving in and they can't see the light. And at the end of the reading, they are bright, they're light, and everything just seems like a possibility again.
Yes.
It makes such a difference that you just change. Within 1 hour, you're able to turn things around for that person where they have that motivation, they have that inspiration again, they have the mojo.
Beautiful. Can people change the outcome of your vision?
So births, deaths, and marriages cannot be changed.
Right.
They are on a journey and you have to go through them. Everything else is fluid. So the little things you can change in life.
Right.
So the in-between. So jobs, people that are not of significance that you meet. So, you're hired by people.
Yes.
These things you can change. They're all fluid. But when you've got a journey with somebody and you've got life lessons to learn, you cannot escape it.
Yes.
They are imprinted into your life. So you have to go through it. And we sign contracts on a soul level. So before we enter the world,
Yes.
we already have contracts. Like you have a contract with your husband, you have a contract with your husband, with your kids, that they're going to be your kids, and that these are the lessons you're going to learn. So everything that happens here, we're all here to learn lessons. It's all about growth and learning.
Do you think it's predetermined? Is that what you're saying with the contract?
The contract is predetermined with the people and the lessons you need to learn. So births, deaths, and marriages, remember? So the people that you're going to marry, the kids you're going to have, your relatives, like that's all predetermined. That's all signed on a soul level.
Yes.
And also the lessons you need to learn.
How do you explain? This might be something.
This is getting really deep.
I know. This might be something you don't deal with, but I am fascinated when people have such difficult lives. Such difficult lives.
Yeah.
One thing goes wrong, then the next, and I just think, is that their lesson?
They don't learn their lessons.
They don't learn their lessons.
They don't learn their lessons. So what happens is, and I also teach this in my readings to people when they go through certain situations in life, you'll be given a situation.
Yes.
And think of it as a test, and you need to pass that test.
Yes.
Will you pass it, or will you continue going down the same path? So let's give an example. Say you marry someone or you're with someone who's narcissistic.
Yes.
Just giving you an example.
Yeah.
And you have this horrible life with them, and they beat you up, they put you down, they do whatever, and you just don't learn your lesson. So say you keep on tolerating it and you don't leave. So what happens is the relationship gets worse and worse. It's almost like the universe is saying, listen, we're giving you an out. Leave.
Yes.
Go. And you're like, no, it's going to get better. I'm going to stay. And it gets harder and it gets worse. And you notice these situations don't get better. They just get worse.
Yes.
Because you're not learning your lesson. Your lesson is, what can you do different that you didn't do before in any other past life? Because it's all about past lives and returning back to learn those lessons. You'll see like somebody who's a gambler.
Yes.
If they keep gambling with money, they'll end up with absolutely nothing.
Yes.
Remember, if you keep until you change your ways and learn your lesson, there is no growth, there is no learning, and there's no elevation.
Okay. Do you have people come to you that have been opened by you and they give you as a gift to a friend who needs you but is not ready? Do they come and do they listen? I'm curious.
I've had where gifts were given, but they've all been ready. So I haven't had it where they've given a gift to someone where they weren't ready. I haven't had that one yet.
Yes.
But usually they're very open and they're very excited. They're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed. And but I think they would usually know. Like you wouldn't want to gift it to someone who wouldn't be open to it.
Yes.
I think. I would assume that you've got to be really open to. And I always tell people you've got to be ready to go see, to get a reading, to see a psychic, and you've got to be open to it, because if you're not, there's no point. I tell people don't. If you're not ready, you can't force someone to get a reading, because the same process won't work on them than somebody who's actually open and willing to learn from the reading and the lessons and all the messages that come through for them. Yeah.
Could you please share with the social blueprinters the story that you submitted when we asked you?
Yeah. That was amazing.
Yeah, could you please share that? Because I think people will be very interested.
So we'll go back to 2012. So this was a time when my gift was becoming really, let's call it potent.
Yes.
It was really strong. And I wanted to learn more about the spirits that I was seeing, because I couldn't understand how I needed to connect with them. I didn't know what I needed to do with them. I could see shadows, but what did they want from me? After I understood they weren't just shadows, they were actually people that I was seeing, souls that had passed on. And so I decided to do a mediumship course. There was this one man who came from America and he was doing a mediumship course, and I was very, very excited. I was like, great. And it was like a 2-day course. Went to it. I didn't know anyone there. And on the second day, after we went through all different like meditations and explanations and all the rest of it, to be honest, it feels like a blur, everything that was there on the first day, because this one scenario overtook everything.
Yeah.
And I remember on the next day, he said, okay, well, everyone find a partner. We're going to do this exercise. And I was like, great. Kind of was looking around the room and I see this woman, she leans over. I lean over from like a distance and we kind of, mime to each other like, great. So we connected. We found a spot on the floor. And while we're sitting on the floor, he's explaining what we're going to do. And all of a sudden, I see this little boy standing next to her, literally like probably age like 3 or 4, maybe 5, I can't remember. And he's just hugging her and holding her. And she's just standing there listening to the man talk. And then I can see him lying down next to her. And then he put his head on her legs. And then he stood next to her, and then I could see he's starting to show things like in photo and video images. So the next thing I could see is he's showing me that he's like on a boat fishing with his dad. Then I can see him driving over a bridge in a car. And then I can see like the family. I don't see him, but he shows me the whole family from above walking down this old, dreary, grey corridor, which looked like a hospital corridor. And then the next thing I know is that he takes me into his coffin and shows a medal lying in there, like a medal that you wear. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And that's when I kind of pulled back and came back out. And then the guy goes, okay, guys, you can start now. And I was like, oh my God, I think I already had an experience. So I turned around to the woman and I said, do you mind if I go first? She goes, no. And she was Canadian. She had a Canadian accent. She's like, no, you go first. And so I just reiterated everything I've just told you. And she gave me this poker face, like absolutely, like just sat there. Zero reaction until I said, he took me into his coffin and showed the medal. And she started bawling her eyes out. She goes, there is no way you could have known that. She goes, I've been to psychic mediums all over the world. And this is what I do. I travel the world and just go to different mediums to see who can connect with my son. This was back in 2012. Who can connect with my son because I need to know he's okay. Mm-hmm. And she said, no one's ever connected with him. Like I've just gotten stories and stuff. But the moment you mentioned the medal in the coffin, it was just the priest, my husband, and myself standing there. And I had his soft toy that I was going to put in there that he had since he was a baby. But when I smelt it, she said, I could still smell him on the toy. So I didn't want to put it in there. So we decided to put his football medal in the coffin. And then they closed the coffin. So she goes, only the three of us knew about it. There is no way you could have known about it. So I know you're the real deal. And so like as soon as she said that and she told the whole place, everyone, it seemed like 90% of that place wasn't there to learn to be a medium or to understand their gift. They were there to connect with their loved ones.
Right.
And so they all started coming up, can you read for me? Can you tell me? And I was so overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God. But so that's 2012.
Yes.
And so then she sent me a beautiful email after that. Like I think it was a couple of months later saying, thank you so much. You've given hope to me and my husband that our son is just on the other side and can still connect with us. And that was their only child. So it was very tragic. And he died in a very tragic accident. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to 2022. I started getting visions about this woman again. I don't know if I wrote this in the right because it was a lot to write. So then fast forward 2022, started getting visions of this woman. She started coming to me again. And like I was thinking, why do I keep seeing her? It is so, and mind you, I didn't have Instagram back then.
Yes.
I just had an email that I gave her my email. So no Instagram. I didn't have my Melbourne psychic medium name. So she didn't know anything other than my first name, which she misspelled as well, but that's okay. I won't even go there. And I started seeing her. I'm thinking, why does she keep popping up? And all of a sudden, she starts following me on Facebook. I was like, this is really weird. Like maybe she knows like who I am. Yes. Like it's very strange.
Yes.
And so she starts following me on Facebook and I'm like, okay. And then I got a message from her son. He said, I'm sending her back to you.
Pardon?
She needs a reading.
Her son?
Who passed away.
Oh, okay.
As a spirit.
Okay. Yes.
As a spirit.
Thank you.
And it was probably a month later, she purchased a reading. And she came for a reading. And that's not even the freaky part. None of that freaked me out until we started the reading. And I said, wow, how have you been? Like, I was like, it's been so long. It's amazing. She was talking to me. She had no idea who I was. And I'm like, do you recognize me? She goes, no. I go, how did you find me? She goes, just randomly you popped up on my Facebook. I go, so you don't remember me at all? And she goes, no. And I said, do you know that you and we met? And I told her the whole scene. She nearly fell off her chair. So spirit works in amazing ways. So her son had guided her to come to me for a reading.
Wow.
Yeah. And she was beside herself. She did not come for the reason for her son. She came for other reasons. But it was just, wow. It was, yeah.
Wow. All right. I think, Alla, you've given us so much to think about. It is so interesting.
Thank you for being open.
Thank you for sharing with all the social blueprinters. I think even if you're not open to this, if people aren't open to it, I think it's fascinating if you are open. If you open your mind, you just don't know. And we're all looking for our gift,
Yeah.
that we can make a difference in people's lives. And you've listened and you found it. So through listening.
Yeah.
So well done to you.
Thank you.
Really amazing.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure, Alla. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Please share the link to this video with others and go to thesocialblueprint.org.au to find community events, resources, and message board items and many more videos like this.